What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel where I do airline reviews for the average traveler. In today's video, we'll be looking at the Singapore Airlines experience. I got dropped off here at Changi Airport by Scoot Airlines. If you want to know my thoughts on Scoot Airlines, check out my Scoot experience video. I'll leave links to it in the description down below. Anyways, today's flight is from Singapore all the way to Los Angeles, a daunting 18-hour journey. To ease the blow, the trip is broken down into two legs. One from Singapore to Tokyo, which is around a 7-hour flight, and then from Tokyo to Los Angeles, which is around 10 hours. The stop in Tokyo will be an hour long, where the plane will be refueling, changing crews, and us passengers will get a chance to stretch our legs. Since Changi Airport is such a huge airport, I haven't done a walk-around tour of the airport, as that could be a whole hour-long video by itself. So on to the flight itself. Boarding began slightly later than what was shown on the display. Boarding was done in groups, and it was a fairly straightforward process. I was able to get lovely shots of the flights parked outside, which was awesome. One thing to note here. Security at the Changi Airport was done at every gate, unlike many airports where security is done in a central location and then you make your way to the gates. It seems like an interesting concept, one which would definitely keep crowds low, even when multiple flights land together. There were earphones laid out for passengers to grab right before we boarded the plane. After boarding, the attendants came around and offered everyone earphones as well. Making my way on board, I was greeted with a warm smile and a friendly welcome. Every crew member passing by was incredibly friendly and welcoming as well.
Good morning, sir. Welcome on board.
Hey. As I made my way to the seat, my phone's storage got full and stopped filming right before I got to the seat. Anyways, here's me in the seat, and here's a quick look around the seat itself. The legroom was very generous, probably the best legroom I've had on a flight in recent years, and the seats were fairly comfortable as well. Didn't look like they skimped on anything. The cabin was laid out in a 3-3-3 configuration compared to a 3-4-3 used on many wide-body, long-haul carriers. As it was a 7+ hour flight and I didn't want to get stuck with no aisle access, I chose to forego the window seat for an aisle seat. So unfortunately, no epic views of the takeoff and landing, at least on the first leg. The seat had a coat hook, headphones port, an entertainment system with a remote at the bottom, 2 USB chargers, and what seemed to be a really ancient version of an iPod charger. A short while after takeoff, about an hour or so, the meal service began. I generally choose vegetarian meals ahead of time, usually while booking, but for some reason, I hadn't pre-booked any specific meal for this flight. When the crew came around and asked me what I'd like, I told them I'd like a vegetarian meal. They politely mentioned that vegetarian meals had to be booked ahead of time as they may not stock enough on board, but then quickly followed up with, "We'll see if we can arrange something for you." She got back to me, mentioning that they did have the Indian vegetarian meal for me, but they would have to heat it up, and it would take some time before they could bring it. The attendant, who was extremely polite, also mentioned that she can put in the request for an extra vegetarian meal for my next leg, but cannot guarantee it. Here's the meal itself. Vegetarian pulao rice with curry in the bottom, a piece of bread with butter, some yogurt, and a glass of water. The meals came with actual silverware instead of plastic forks and knives. After the meals were served and the lights were dimmed, I decided to go check out the lavatory. Oh man, after being on that Scoot A320neo lavatory, this one felt huge. It was way more spacious and had somewhat room to move around. Overall, pretty standard though. They had some hand soap and some paper towels. I also noticed that they had some paper cups around as well. These are super handy while brushing your teeth. The IFE offerings on this flight were immense. There were pages upon pages of content. There was a good selection between new and old content, and also multicultural content. Honestly, the selection on board was better than the selection of most streaming platforms. The only IFE system that I like more than this one is the Qatar Airways IFE system, and that too because they have albums from one of my favorite bands, Opeth, on there. A little tip here for flyers who want to use your own headphones. I know nowadays they sell those adapters that allow you to use your own headphones, but if you forgot to bring one or don't have one and still want to use your own headphones and want to hear audio on both sides, use this tip. Insert the headphones jack fully into the headphones port. Then pull back the jack slightly so it sits out just a little. Now just play around with it a bit till you get audio on both sides. You may need to adjust the jack every now and then if you move, or if it comes out of the port, but that's a lot better than just hearing on one side. After a few hours rest, we finally made our approach into Tokyo. I was slightly surprised that the 7-hour flight only had one meal service. Snacks were offered upon request and could be gotten from the galley as well. We finally got off the flight and made our way into Tokyo Narita Airport for the 1-hour stop. I realized after boarding the next flight that I should have gotten some clips at the Tokyo airport too. Oh well, maybe if I have more subscribers, I'll remember to get those shots. Anyways, boarding at Narita Airport was pretty seamless as well, and just like at Changi Airport, it was done in groups. No sweet windows on this bridge to get epic airside shots. Same as last time, earphones were laid out outside so passengers could grab a pair for the flight, and once again, pre-takeoff, the crew came around handing them out too if you didn't have one already. I was greeted with that incredible warm and friendly welcome again. This time around, I made sure to have plenty of space on my phone so I could get that seat view shot. No, that's not Noel Phillips in front of me, by the way. It would have been great if it was. Oh yeah, that sweet seat shot. After boarding was completed, I asked the crew if there were any window seats available that I could swap to, and after a few minutes, the lovely attendant came over and mentioned that there was one available for me if I'd like to swap, so I decided to take it. I'm super glad I did take the window seat on this flight, as even though it was evening and it was dark out, I got stunning views of flights taking off, landing, and taxiing. Shortly after relocating me, another cabin crew member asked if I had just relocated from 42D, my previous seat, and mentioned that they had vegetarian meals for me for the flight. Yet again, another video with a night takeoff. Man, I need to start booking daytime flights. Anyways, here are some lovely views of the runway at Tokyo Airport. Shortly after ascending into the skies of Japan, the flight service began. We were first given a little snack and a drink. The snack was a bag of peas and crackers. This, being the same plane as the last leg, had the same seat features. Excellent legroom, iPod charger, 2 USB ports, a coat hook, and a headphones jack. and the IFE system with its remote. Shortly after the snacks were served, the meals came along. I was given the veg option, which once again came with silverware instead of plastics. The meal included a piece of bread with butter, a piece of cheese, creamer, and let's put that in the cup over there, some crackers, and for the main course, it had this meal, which contained paneer curry, a vegetable curry, and some rice. The tray itself also had a non-slip lining on it, so that things wouldn't slip or move around accidentally, which was a nice touch. The meal itself, not gonna lie, probably the best meal I've had on a flight for a long time. It was really good. After meals, we were given this strawberry-flavored Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Then, after our trays were collected, the lights in the cabin were dimmed so we could all get some rest. As I peeked out the window, the sun was rising out in the west as we were flying over the Pacific Ocean. After some downtime, we were served a second meal. I was given the veg meal again. The contents were pretty much the same as the last meal. This time around, there was some jelly for dessert instead of ice cream. The meal itself was some sort of curry with chickpeas and what I think was eggplant, and some vermicelli in a rice style. Once again, it tasted pretty good. Here's the jelly without the seat sticker on it. After the meal was done, we finally made our way over the west coast of the United States and were treated to some incredible views. As we eventually prepared for the descent and landing, I had some time to reflect on the Singapore Airlines experience. I have had the fortune of traveling on many airlines, some of which have been branded as 4 or 5 star, but haven't lived up to the reputation that the tag brings. Singapore Airlines, on the other hand, was very different. The seat was comfortable, the legroom was the best I've had in economy in recent years, the IFE was incredibly well curated, and finally, the crew. I wanted to take some time to talk about the crew on board both the legs of this flight. The crew was incredibly warm, welcoming, and friendly to a level that I haven't experienced in recent years. I've been on flights with amazing crews in the last year, but the level here was above and beyond. Best part was it didn't feel like they were trying hard to be polite or friendly. Everyone seemed genuinely nice and welcoming. I've taken airlines where one flight was incredible and had an amazing crew, and the other was a bit lackluster. But on Singapore Airlines, both flights with a completely different crew were incredible. Honestly, about 80% of the flying experience is shaped by the ground staff and the cabin crew. You can have the nicest business class seats and delightful meals, but if the ground staff or the flight crew were indifferent and unfriendly, it can impact your whole experience. The ground staff at Changi Airport were incredibly helpful and nice. The cabin crew on board were fantastic. I can truly see why Singapore Airlines holds the reputation it does, and I would love to fly with them more often. For anyone who might be considering flying with them, I would highly recommend it, even if the price is slightly higher than the other options. The overall experience provided is truly 5-star, unlike some other carriers who have the 5-star rating, but not the experience. I would love to eventually fly on board Singapore Airlines' newer fleet as well to see what their updated seats and flights are like. I'm curious to know what you guys think of Singapore Airlines. Have you had similar experiences with them, or has it been the exact opposite of what I just described? Would you fly Singapore Airlines over other airlines even if it costs slightly more? Also, have you ever tried that headphones trick I mentioned? Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and either found it helpful or entertaining. If you'd like to see more content like this, let me know once again in the comments below or by hitting that like button. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.